Right now, Texas does not control its own path to the college football playoff. Yeah, they have to win on Saturday, and it will bolster their status as one of the best teams in college football. But they also have to have chaos occur just a little bit for them to sneak into the Final Four. So, what exactly has to happen if you are a Longhorns fan to see your team punch their ticket to the college football playoff? Let's talk about it. If you are new here, welcome on into the channel. My name is Cole Thompson. I'm a radio show host based in Houston, and I talk college football daily. So if this is the type of content you enjoy, make sure you smash that subscribe button down below. Tell me who you are rooting for to see Texas eventually play in the college football playoff. Tell your friends, your family, your workout buddies, your sister, your brother, your mortal enemies, best of bros, your entire fraternity, the drunk passed out guy in a Publix parking lot about this channel. And as always, let's continue to talk college football. By the way, if you want to give me a follow on social media, it's at Mr. Cole Thompson. It's the exact same as my YouTube handle. So when you hit subscribe on one, make sure you hit follow on the other. Thanks in advance for that. Texas, no matter what, has to win on Saturday against Oklahoma State. You lose to Ollie Gordon, Alan Bowman, and Mike Gundy in a swan song performance in your final Big 12 game, it's over. There's no shot. You will not be a two-loss representative in the college football playoff and not a conference champion, especially when you look at the way the rankings are right now. To say Alabama was to beat Georgia and say Ohio State sits idle at number 6, they're in over you. Plain and simple. The committee has made it abundantly clear you have to win and you're in. So naturally, you have to be able to contain number 0 in Stillwater, and you got to be able to make plays defensively. This is not going to be a problem, in my opinion, for Texas. Their run defense ranks top 5 in the country. They have been one of the best when it comes to containing tailbacks and mobile quarterbacks, for that matter. And Alan Bowman has had his moments where turnovers are basically a timetable. Like, this is a common occurrence. And if you look back at that UCF game, that was kind of a premeditated performance of what Texas should follow if they're trying to contain Ollie Gordon. Gordon in Big 12 play this year has only rushed for under 100 yards once, and it was against the Knights. And by the way, that's a Gus Malzahn special. Anybody who knows college football knows in the month of November, he's going to get a win that he probably shouldn't. And he did it all the time at Auburn, and a few times in the Iron Bowl. So this is a common occurrence. But if you get that win, you still have to have chaos occur at the top. For me personally, the easiest pathway is if everyone who is favored this weekend wins, then that's the way you view it. But if not, the best case scenario would be you're rooting for Florida State to lose to Louisville. You are a huge Louisville fan in the evening on Saturday night. You want the Seminoles to be basically shell-shocked in Charlotte. That's what you need. Tate Rodemaker has to have a bad performance. You have to hope that Jawar Jordan and Jamari Thrasher and all of these players on Louisville excel beyond belief. You have to hope that the Cardinals find a way to claim their first ACC title under first-year coach Jeff Brom. Because in the grand scheme of things, you're not leaving out undefeated teams. I think that's abundantly clear. Are those the 4 best teams? Probably not. But are those the 4 best programs? That's a different story. Florida State would overcome losing its starting quarterback and still find a way to remain undefeated. And if they soundly beat up on the Cardinals and they clip the wings and they basically go, hey, listen, we're here. We mean business. Tate Rodemaker, Jordan Travis, it doesn't matter. We're going to be a damn good team. They're going to the playoff. So you're rooting for Louisville. I also think that you're a little bit rooting for Oregon in this situation, because Oregon, as a one-loss team, as being as consistent as they would, you're expecting them to hold their own against Washington. And Washington is the underdog. They're undefeated. They have handled business against everybody in the regular season, but they're a 9-point underdog in this game. And the reason why is because if you watch the consistency of Oregon, even go back and watch that game against the Huskies in Seattle. Oregon looked like the better team. They just had a few mishaps where they went for it on 4th down. They didn't get it. Dan Lanning even said so. It was probably a mistake. And lo and behold, they got the win. That was it. That was basically the bottom line. Oregon, if they were undefeated going into this matchup, there's a reason why we would just guarantee their spot in the college football playoff with a win. But if Oregon does win, and then you have Florida State lose, there's not a scenario where I think Ohio State gets out. And then, of course, you're rooting for one more team, Georgia. You want Georgia to beat Alabama because Alabama right now has been playing better than Texas. But if you look at the College Football Playoff Committee and what they are understanding based off of head-to-heads, they're making sure Texas keeps that notion. Texas got a 10-point win in Tuscaloosa. Do I think Texas is a better team than Alabama? No, I don't. I think Texas, without question, has struggled, has been hindered at times, has absolutely shown their cards and definitely not played up to their standard. And Alabama has. And I know that people are going to say, well, look at the Iron Bowl. Guys, if the game was played in Bryant-Denny Stadium, I think you would have an argument. I actually believe you would have a very solid case. But it wasn't. It was played in Jordan-Hare. And anybody who knows the SEC and knows the Iron Bowl, weird stuff happens when you go to the Plains of Auburn. It just does. So I'm not going to count out Alabama and say that they are not one of the best teams. And then you also have to look at this scenario. Alabama would have beaten the number one team in the country. That head-to-head matchup does matter in the eyes of the committee, but that would be the most significant win. In my opinion, right now, Texas has probably the biggest win in college football this year. And it happened in week 2. And they've carried that and they've laid on that. And that's been part of their loyals and ethics. And they've been able to stand their ground and say, we beat Nick Saban in Tuscaloosa by double digits. And then Alabama rolls its head and goes, yeah, well, we beat the number one team that was on a 29-game win streak. And we did it in Atlanta with a quarterback that threw 2 interceptions against you. Checkmate. That's the way I view it. So the way for Texas to go ahead, and by the way, I'm going to get this out of the way. Texas has changed the culture in Austin, for sure. What Steve Sarkisian has done over the last 3 years has culminated in a moment to where the Longhorns can actually say, we're not there, but we're right on the cusp of being BACK. And when we get to the SEC, guys, we have the talent. We have the talent. We have the roster. We have the players. More importantly, we have the now SEC brand next to our name, NIL at an all-time high. We're going to be fine in the SEC. Go ahead, test us. You don't want to find out what happens. That's the way I view Texas. But Texas also has to understand that right now, they do not control their own destiny, and they need a little bit of help. If you are a Texas fan, you are rooting for Georgia to beat Alabama. You are rooting for Washington to lose to Oregon. And you are rooting for Louisville to beat Florida State. If all that happens and Texas gets a convincing win in Arlington in the house that Jerry Jones built, I find it very hard that you're going to leave them out. They've proven that they belong at least in the college football playoff conversation, and they have a roster that can win a national title. But unfortunately, someone's going to be left out. And for Texas, they need just a little bit of help to get over the edge and right back into their first college football playoff. Thanks for watching that video. Don't hit the X button yet. Make sure you hit subscribe to keep up with all of our daily content found on Just Saying It and anything else that we post on this channel. Bye.